Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Radio Show on KCAA Radio. We're here with Meredith Stoller from Cross Country Mortgage. We're talking all about ADUs. Hope you were here in our last session when we talked about the impact of the interest rates on the ADU, on your ADU projects. And the bottom line is that it shouldn't stop you. Continue to move forward. Rents are outpacing the interest rate, and whether you're building for a loved one or for rental income, we should still be forging ahead with completing our ADU projects. So this segment, we're going to talk to Meredith about the $40,000 ADU grant. I'm going to leave it open. I know that there's been a lot of buzz about it. Everybody's talking about it. I know right now the portal is still closed, but we're just interested in seeing what advice you have to us to get in line and what it can help us with.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. So I am so proud of this ADU grant. My partners over at HPP Cares and I put this together after the first phase of the CalHava grant really wasn't working. As I understand it, only 25 people in the entire state were approved by all those lenders, which frankly makes me very frustrated. So we pitched this to CalHava as an alternative, and in the first 6 weeks, we had 1,500 people lined up to be approved. The other lenders screamed bloody murder that we were hogging the grants. CalHava slowed it to a pace, so that's why they've closed the portal. Fortunately, HPP Cares, of course, passed an audit with flying colors. So they're getting ready to open it back up. There's been discussion about opening it up on Saturday, the 22nd, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. I do have a back end to the portal, and we are continuing to get people approved and so on. The first step, what everybody's got to understand is you've got to have proof that you can afford to pay for construction, right? Because they don't want to be giving out this grant if you can't actually afford to build it. So either a cash or a loan pre-approval of any type of loan. Some of these lenders are claiming that you can only do a cash out. That's baloney. Any type of loan will suffice as long as you can prove it that you've got it and that you can afford to build. If you don't build, you owe that money back. So it behooves you to figure that out anyway. The grant really is as good as it seems. There's no lien on the property. You do not have to pay it back so long as you do build the ADU. The major qualifications are that you've got to fit within the income limits. Number one, and number two, which are quite high, and we've gotten some exceptions. And then number two, it's got to be an owner-occupied house, meaning you've got to live somewhere on the property. You can live in the ADU, you can live in the primary house, whatever. Or a family member. Like if you're moving grandma into an ADU on your rental property, that counts. So,
really? Okay.
Yeah, it does. We've gotten some exceptions for that.
Okay.
So you can also, they've changed the rule now where you're allowed to do this on multifamily properties. You're allowed to build more than one ADU, but you only get one grant, no more than $40,000.
Okay.
But it is an incentive from the state to do this. There's probably about 1,000 spots left for this year, which is fine. We've only got a couple months left anyway. And the state has set aside $50 million for next year, which is super exciting.
That $50 million are at another 1,200 though, right?
Yeah, I think. I think more than that. Okay. But what's even more exciting to me, actually, and yes, it's great. People are getting a free $40,000, but really, what that money is paying for is it's paying the local governments, for stuff that maybe they shouldn't be doing anyway. Right. So the cool part is the state legislature has passed 6 new bills that are saying to the local permits departments, no kidding, we really do want these approved in 60 days or less.
Oh, wow.
Figure your stuff out. Right. Because, and imagine this concept. My medium-sized builders, small builders, even KB homes, those kind of things, they can take a floor plan on a custom house, and it takes 3 years and about $100,000 to get that approved in California.
Wow.
They can walk across the border to Arizona or Nevada, have a conversation over the counter, and for $2,500 that same day get that same exact plan approved.
Wow.
Yes. So there is too much going on with these city permit departments. The state knows it, and they're trying to force that question. So if you don't have all this time being wasted on permits, and if you don't have all this money being wasted on fees, you don't need that grant, right?
Right.
And that's ultimately what the goal is of this legislation.
Okay, for us to get in a process where our system is working so well that we don't really need to subsidize people's ADUs. But for right now,
right,
it's there. Okay.
Right.
And so talk a little bit about what that covers. I know it covers the soft costs, which includes the drawings or permit, the first steps that we talked about that a person needs to do, and then how we're trying to get that grant administered a little bit faster so it wouldn't be a reimbursable situation, but be available for them to move forward.
Yeah, ideally what we're doing, and in some cases we are achieving that, where you get the loan approved first, we send in the pre-approval letter or get them started on the loan process, and they go ahead and fund the grant. Especially with the home equity lines of credit, that's really the way to go, because then you get the home equity line of credit funded, but you don't touch it for months and months, because you're going to use the grant for the designs and the grant for the permits. The grant basically covers anything that doesn't include materials or physical labor, because there's a prevailing wage issue there. So it will cover things like soils tests, utility costs, fees. It covers school impact fees, all kinds of variety of things. And I just had a client that got a $37,000 check from it. And actually what happened is they will not, and there's some discussion. Remember, this, for all practical purposes, this is a new program. So they're still working kinks out, policies out, and so on. So the question of reimbursement has been a big one. CalHFA staff will not let HPP Cares directly reimburse somebody. But what you can do is have your contractor bill them for everything, and then they get paid, and they can either reimburse you or put the money toward construction.
Okay, sounds good. And I know that a couple of the clients that I'm working with, they have not been able to complete their ADU. Either, we get contractors disappearing. That's why we got certified professionals now to help them put that team together, or they, because of the lumber and the supply chain issues, it came over budget. But now, if it's not a completed ADU, they can still apply for the grant if they're bringing in the additional money to finish it. All right, we're going to take a short break here. I come back in a minute and continue to talk about the $40,000 ADU grant, and hopefully you can stick with us. Again, this is your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes, with the International Wealth Builders Radio Show, talking about planning, building, and financing your ADU. We'll be back momentarily and hope you can stick